The Starway station was alive with movement. Ships of all sizes docked and departed, lights flashing across metal walls and voices echoing in the wide halls. Lena hurried through the bustling restaurant, carrying trays filled with steaming food and glowing drinks. Her uniform was neat, but her face showed signs of fatigue. It had been a long shift, and the station was unusually crowded today. Lena loved her job, even if it was exhausting. She enjoyed serving travelers, listening to their stories, and watching the different species that came from distant planets. But she was also human, and humans sometimes made mistakes when they were tired or stressed. In one corner of the restaurant, a family arrived. Amara, the woman who now stood near a glowing table, was striking. Her skin was a deep, rich color that seemed to shine under the restaurant lights. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, and calm. She moved with grace, and there was a quiet confidence about her. Around her, people gave space, sensing that she was someone important. Lena approached the table with a smile. "Hello, welcome to Starway Diner. Can I take your order?" she asked politely. Amara's voice was soft but firm. "Yes, please. We will have the solar soup, the ion salad, and the roasted nebula fish." "Of course," Lena replied, writing the order on her holopad. She wanted to do everything perfectly. As she turned to leave, a young child at the table accidentally knocked over a glass of liquid that glowed like starlight. The glass tipped dangerously toward the edge of the table, and Lena moved quickly to catch it. In her hurry, Lena accidentally brushed against Amara's hand. Amara looked surprised, but before Lena could apologize, she felt a sudden pull from the crowd behind her. Someone bumped into her shoulder and she lost her balance. Her hand instinctively slapped out to steady herself, and it struck Amara across the arm. The restaurant went quiet. All eyes turned to the scene. Lena froze, her heart pounding. She had never meant to hit anyone. "I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I didn't mean it." "Are you hurt?" Amara's eyes narrowed slightly. She did not speak at first. The calm in her expression remained, but there was a hint of warning in her gaze. "I am not hurt," she said slowly. But that was unnecessary. Lena's face burned with embarrassment. She took a step back, bowing slightly. "I truly apologize. I was just trying to prevent the glass from falling. I was not thinking clearly." The murmurs among the diners grew louder. People whispered, glancing nervously at the woman who had been slapped. There was something about her, something that made even the bravest look twice. Lena felt a cold sweat on her forehead. She had heard rumors about some of the station's visitors, but she had no idea who this woman was. Behind the calm exterior of Amara, a deeper tension stirred. She had expected rudeness from some humans, but she had not expected such a sudden, clumsy reaction. Still, she decided to stay calm. She knew how to handle situations like this. Anger was dangerous and control was power. As Lena backed away, a tall man entered the restaurant. His presence was commanding, and the room seemed to shift as he walked in. People stepped aside, whispering in low tones. This was Darrow, Amara's husband. He moved with quiet authority, his dark coat flowing behind him. His eyes scanned the room, and when they landed on Lena, there was a flicker of interest. Darrow did not immediately approach. Instead, he observed. He had heard Amara's recounting of the event earlier, and while some might have reacted with anger or threats, he was curious. This human, this young waitress, had struck his wife without realizing who she was. Most humans would have cowered in fear. Most humans would have apologized and avoided the powerful afterward. But Lena had done something different. Amara rose slightly from her seat. "It is fine," she said to Lena again. "No harm done." Lena's hand shook. "Thank you for your understanding. I will be more careful." Darrow finally stepped forward, his deep voice calm but carrying authority. "Mistakes happen," he said. "The important thing is how you handle them." Lena looked at him, unsure what to say. There was a strange feeling in her chest, fear mixed with awe. She did not yet know who he was, but she sensed that he was someone important. The rest of the shift passed slowly for Lena. Every few minutes, she glanced toward Amara and Darrow. Their presence seemed to shift the energy in the restaurant. Even the other diners were cautious, careful with their words and movements. After her shift ended, Lena went to the small locker room to change. She leaned against the wall, taking deep breaths. "That was intense," she whispered to herself. She had never been so aware of someone watching her. Meanwhile, Darrow and Amara left the restaurant quietly. They moved through the station with a purpose, leaving whispers behind. Some speculated about the couple's identity, while others simply watched in curiosity. Darrow's mind was not on the restaurant or the diners. His mind was on Lena. There was something about her boldness, her clumsy courage. She had acted without fear, without hesitation, even if it had been a mistake. Amara noticed his interest. "Do not be too harsh," she said softly. "The girl is human. Humans often act before they think." Darrow nodded slowly. Yes, but she did not back down. Most would have cowered. She did not. Later that night, Lena walked through the station corridors, her uniform folded neatly in her bag. She did not know that her life had changed in a single moment. Unbeknownst to her, her simple act of clumsiness had caught the attention of one of the most powerful men in the galaxy. In her tiny apartment, she collapsed onto the bed. She thought about the day, about the strange woman she had accidentally slapped, and about the commanding man who had observed her. "What am I going to do?" she whispered, thinking of the rumors she had heard about people like him. She did not yet know that this was the beginning of an adventure that would take her far beyond the simple life of a waitress. She did not yet know that her courage, her quick thinking, and her humanity would soon be tested in ways she could not imagine. High above the station, in the sleek black ship hovering silently, Darrow and Amara discussed what had happened. "She is interesting," Darrow said. "I want to see how she handles herself when the stakes are higher." Amara smiled slightly. "Perhaps she has more potential than we think. Humans are surprising sometimes." And with that, the galaxy moved quietly around Lena, unaware that a small moment of clumsiness had begun a chain of events that would change many lives forever. The next morning, Lena returned to the Starway diner. The station hummed with activity as travelers rushed to catch departing ships and merchants unloaded new supplies. Lena's mind was still on yesterday's incident. She could not shake the memory of Amara's calm eyes or the quiet authority of the man who had watched her from across the room. She felt a mix of fear and curiosity. As she served tables, Lena noticed subtle changes. Some diners glanced at her with an unusual intensity. A few whispered quietly among themselves, glancing in her direction. She could not understand why she felt so watched. Her colleagues seemed unaware of anything unusual. But Lena could not shake the feeling that her life had shifted in a small, invisible way. After her shift, Lena lingered in the empty restaurant, wiping down tables and arranging utensils. She thought about the rumors she had heard about powerful families in the galaxy. She thought about the accident, and she wondered if she had done something that would have consequences. She did not know that she had already caught the attention of someone far beyond anything she could imagine. High above the station, in a sleek command room aboard a hovering ship, Darrow observed the restaurant through a hidden lens. His eyes were sharp, calculating, and calm. He had instructed his aides to place a subtle surveillance system on the Starway station to watch Lena. They observed her movements, her responses to stress, and her interactions with others. Darrow wanted to understand the human who had dared to touch Amara without fear. "She is remarkable," Darrow said quietly to Amara. "Most humans would have apologized and avoided us forever. She did not. She acted quickly, she recovered, and she continued her work. There is courage in her, but also something else." Amara studied Lena's image on the monitor. "She is human," she said softly. "Humans are unpredictable. That is why they survive. That is why they sometimes succeed where others fail. But courage alone is not enough. She will need guidance if she is to handle real danger." Darrow nodded. "I am curious to see how she handles herself when tested. That is the true measure." Back on the station, Lena returned to her small apartment. She could not focus on rest or food. Her thoughts kept returning to the quiet presence she had felt in the restaurant. The way people seemed to defer to someone unseen. The way power moved around her without her knowing it. She wondered if she was imagining it. The following days were similar but charged with tension. Lena noticed strange coincidences. A shadow moving outside her apartment, a delivery bot stopping briefly to scan her package twice, and a few strangers who lingered near the diner, watching quietly. She felt a thrill and a chill at the same time. She did not know that each of these events was orchestrated by Darrow to test her awareness and composure. One evening, the station announced an emergency. A malfunction in the docking bay threatened to release raw plasma energy that could damage several ships. Alarms rang and travelers and staff rushed to safety. Lena's training as a waitress had never included emergencies of this scale. but instinct took over. She grabbed a comm device and coordinated with nearby staff to guide travelers to safe areas, helping them stay calm while avoiding the energy bursts. As Lena moved through the chaos, Darrow watched silently from his ship. He observed how she responded under pressure. She did not panic. She did not hesitate. She acted quickly, made decisions, and adapted as the situation changed. Her actions saved dozens of lives before the engineers arrived to control the plasma leak. Amara, watching from beside Darrow, whispered, "She is learning quickly. Humans can surprise you when they are trusted." After the emergency, Lena stood outside the docking bay, breathing heavily. She had never experienced anything like that in her life. Travelers and staff thanked her, praising her quick thinking. Lena felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. She had no idea that someone far above the station was watching her, judging her courage and intelligence. Later, as Lena returned to the diner, she found a small package waiting for her outside her apartment. Inside was a note. "Your actions were noted. Courage is rare. Keep your mind sharp." There was no signature, but Lena understood that someone powerful had observed her. Her heart raced. The universe suddenly felt larger, more complex, and more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Over the next week, Lena began to notice subtle patterns. She recognized a few strangers who seemed to appear whenever there was trouble or unexpected events on the station. They never approached her directly, but they seemed to guide situations in ways that allowed her to succeed or learn. She realized that she was being tested, though she did not know by whom. At the same time, Lena continued her work at the diner, interacting with travelers and listening to their stories. She began to notice the strength in ordinary humans and aliens alike, the way people adapted to challenges and the hidden potential that often went unnoticed. She started to think differently about herself, realizing that courage was not about avoiding mistakes but about acting despite fear and uncertainty. One night, as Lena walked through the quiet corridors of the station, a stranger approached her. He was tall, dressed in a sleek black uniform, and his eyes were calm but sharp. "Lena," he said, "you are doing well. Keep observing. The galaxy is larger than it seems, and danger can appear anywhere." Lena's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to ask who he was, but he disappeared before she could speak. She realized that she was part of something much bigger than herself. Someone was preparing her for challenges she could not yet see. Meanwhile, aboard his ship, Darrow continued to watch and evaluate Lena. He noted her strengths, her quick thinking, her courage, and her ability to remain calm under pressure. "She has potential," he said to Amara. "She could become more than a waitress. She could become a problem solver, a strategist, or even a protector. Humans are unpredictable, but they can rise to great heights when trusted and guided." Amara smiled. "She has spirit. She has humanity. That is why she stands out. Most beings are powerful in ways that can be measured. Humans are powerful in ways that cannot be measured easily. That is why they are dangerous and remarkable." For Lena, life at the station began to feel like a delicate balance between ordinary duties and extraordinary observation. Every day brought small challenges that tested her skills, her courage, and her intuition. She did not yet know the full scope of the network that was watching her, or the greater dangers that awaited the station. Yet with every test, she grew stronger, more confident, and more aware of her own potential. She realized that even a single human could make a difference when they acted with courage, intelligence, and heart. And high above the station, Darrow and Amara quietly prepared for the next step. Lena's journey was only beginning, and the galaxy was about to reveal dangers, opportunities, and secrets that would challenge her in ways she could not yet imagine. The Starway station was quiet in the early hours, its corridors illuminated by soft lights that reflected off the metal walls. Lena walked carefully, carrying a tray with a simple breakfast for herself. She had not slept well, her mind racing with the strange events of the past days. The memory of Amara's calm presence and Darrow's silent observation stayed with her. She had begun to realize that she was being watched, though she did not know who or why. As she reached the dining area, a sudden alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed across the walls, and a booming voice announced an emergency. "Attention all personnel and passengers. Docking Bay 9 is in critical failure. All non-essential personnel evacuate immediately." Lena froze for a moment. Docking Bay 9 was where incoming ships arrived with supplies and passengers. A failure there could mean disaster. Without thinking, she grabbed her comm device and ran toward the docking bay. The scene was chaos. Sparks flew from malfunctioning machinery, and the air was filled with a metallic smell. Small fires ignited in corners, and the hum of failing energy fields created a sense of danger that was almost suffocating. Travelers and staff were running in all directions, unsure where to go. Lena's heart pounded, but she forced herself to focus. She quickly located a group of frightened passengers trapped near a damaged transport pod. "This way," she shouted, waving her arms to guide them. Her voice carried authority even as her hands shook slightly. "Follow me and stay close. We will get out safely." As she led them through the corridors, Lena noticed the plasma barriers fluctuating, energy sparks jumping dangerously from one wall to another. She used her knowledge of the station layout to find a safer route. Her mind worked quickly, analyzing patterns, predicting hazards, and finding the fastest way out. High above the station, Darrow and Amara watched through hidden surveillance. Darrow's eyes narrowed as he observed Lena in action. "She remains calm under pressure," he said. "She thinks clearly even when surrounded by danger. Most humans would panic. Most humans would freeze or make mistakes." Amara nodded. "She adapts. That is what makes her remarkable. Courage is important, but intelligence and observation make her exceptional." Back in the docking bay, Lena reached a group of engineers trying to stabilize the energy fields. "We need to redirect the power flow," she said, pointing to the control panel. "Follow my instructions exactly, and we can prevent a major disaster." The engineers hesitated for a moment, unsure of trusting a waitress in a crisis. Lena's voice grew firmer. "Do it now. Lives depend on it." Her confidence was contagious. The engineers followed her lead, and together they rerouted the unstable energy fields. Sparks still flew, but the danger began to lessen. Lena moved from group to group, helping passengers find safe exits and guiding staff to repair failing systems. As the situation stabilized, Lena noticed a small transport pod wobbling dangerously above the ground. A child and their parent were trapped inside. Without hesitation, she climbed a nearby ladder and used a mechanical hook to steady the pod. Her hands gripped tightly, muscles straining, but she did not falter. With careful effort, she guided the pod to safety. When the alarms finally ceased, the docking bay was a mess, but no lives had been lost. Travelers, staff, and engineers alike looked at Lena with admiration. Her courage and quick thinking had saved them all. She stood alone for a moment, catching her breath, her uniform singed in places, her hands trembling slightly. High above, Darrow leaned back in his chair, a small smile playing on his lips. "She has exceeded expectations," he said quietly. "She handled a situation that could have destroyed this station, and she did it without hesitation, without fear controlling her actions." Amara placed a hand on Darrow's arm. "Humans are extraordinary when they are trusted. She has not just courage. She has awareness, intelligence, and quick judgment. That is why she survived this test." Later, Lena returned to her apartment exhausted but exhilarated. She could hardly believe what had just happened. The station had survived a potential disaster because she had acted without thinking about herself, because she had trusted her instincts and her training. As she sat on her bed, she received a message on her comm device. It was simple, but it made her pulse quicken. "Well done. You have handled yourself admirably. More challenges await. Be ready." Lena stared at the message, her mind racing. She had no idea who sent it, but she realized that she was being prepared for something larger, something beyond serving meals and cleaning tables. Her heart beat faster with excitement and fear. She felt alive in a way she had never felt before. The next morning, Lena returned to the diner, still tired but determined. She was more alert now, more aware of her surroundings. She noticed people watching her closely, noticing the small ways she moved, the decisions she made. She began to understand that her actions were no longer just her own. They were observed, measured, and valued. Meanwhile, Darrow and Amara discussed the events of the previous day aboard their ship. "She performed exceptionally," Darrow said. "Her bravery is impressive, but what impresses me more is her ability to think clearly under pressure. That is rare among humans and almost unheard of among others." Amara smiled. "She has potential beyond this station. I think she could be an asset in situations that require both courage and intelligence. But she must learn to trust herself even more. Her next test will require more than quick thinking. It will require strategy and planning." Back on the station, Lena began to notice small details she had overlooked before. She watched travelers more carefully, listened to conversations, and observed patterns in how problems arose and were solved. She realized that courage was only part of the equation. To survive and succeed in a larger universe, she needed awareness, intelligence, and the ability to act decisively. The days passed with small challenges, each designed to test her observation skills, her decision-making, and her courage. Some were emergencies in the diner, others involved assisting travelers in tricky situations, and some seemed like simple coincidences that allowed her to practice patience and observation. Lena never knew which events were planned or natural, but she learned from every moment. One evening, as Lena walked through the quiet corridors of the station, she felt a presence behind her. A shadow moved and a calm voice spoke her name. "Lena, you are ready for more. Trust your instincts and you will succeed." She turned but saw no one. Her pulse quickened. She realized that her life was no longer ordinary. She had survived danger, made decisions that saved lives, and proven her courage. And now, she sensed that the real challenges were about to begin. High above, Darrow and Amara watched the station's lights twinkle in the distance. "She has passed the first major test," Darrow said. "The next stage will require her to face danger she cannot predict. That will show her true potential." Amara nodded. "Humans are unpredictable, but they have a spark that cannot be measured. Lena has that spark. She will surprise even the most experienced beings in this galaxy." For Lena, the experience had changed her. She was no longer just a waitress on a space station. She was someone who could act decisively in the face of danger. Someone who could think quickly and save lives. She was beginning to understand that her humanity, her courage, her intelligence, and her instinct was her greatest strength. And far above the station, unseen and powerful, Darrow and Amara prepared for the next phase of their observations. Lena's journey was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, and the galaxy was ready to test her in ways she could not yet imagine. The Starway station was quieter than usual that morning. The hustle and bustle of travelers and merchants still existed, but Lena noticed a strange calm in the air. She carried trays of food and drinks as usual, but her mind was alert. After the docking bay incident, she felt different, more aware, more capable, and yet uncertain about the eyes she sensed on her. As she approached a table with a group of travelers, a comm alert buzzed on her wrist. It was a short, simple message. "Meet at the observation deck." "Do not be afraid," Lena froze. The message offered no name, no explanation, only an instruction. Her heart raced. She had already learned that the universe was far larger and stranger than she had imagined. Curiosity overcame fear. She made her way through the station, weaving past merchants and passengers, toward the observation deck. A circular area high above the main concourse with large transparent panels showing the endless void of space. She stepped onto the deck and looked around. It was empty except for a single figure standing near the railing. Darrow stepped forward from the shadows, his presence calm but commanding. Lena's instincts told her to be cautious, but she remembered the events of the last week. She had faced danger, guided travelers to safety, and survived challenges she could never have imagined. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. "You are Lena," Darrow said, his voice smooth and steady. "I have been observing you. Your courage and quick thinking have impressed me." Lena nodded, trying to keep her voice steady. I don't understand. Who are you? Why are you watching me?" Darrow smiled faintly. "I am someone who recognizes talent, someone who knows that humans have potential beyond what they realize. You have shown bravery, intelligence, and composure under pressure. Those qualities are rare." Lena's mind raced. She had always thought her life was ordinary, a simple routine of work and small daily tasks. But now, standing before someone with such calm authority, she realized her world had changed. "Why me?" she asked softly. "Because you did not hesitate when faced with danger," Darrow said. "Most would have frozen, would have acted out of fear. You acted with clarity, instinct, and courage. That is why I'm offering you an opportunity." Lena blinked. "An opportunity? I'm just a waitress. I have no experience in anything important." Darrow shook his head. "Experience is not the same as potential. Courage, intelligence, and the ability to adapt quickly. These are traits that cannot be taught. You possess them. I can guide you, and together we can accomplish more than you imagine." Amara appeared beside him, her calm presence grounding the moment. "I will be your mentor," she said. I will teach you observation, negotiation, and strategy. You have already proven your bravery. Now it is time to develop your other abilities. Lena felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was not her ordinary life. This was a world of power, strategy, and risk that she had never known. Yet she also felt a strange trust in Amara and Darrow. They had not threatened her, they had not demanded obedience. Instead, they recognized her strength and offered guidance. I don't know if I can do this, Lena admitted. Amara smiled gently. You have already done more than you think. You survived the docking bay crisis and guided people to safety. That required courage and intelligence. You have the foundation. You only need guidance now. Darrow nodded. The first step is observation. You will learn to see things others do not notice, to anticipate events before they occur. That skill is more valuable than brute strength or authority. Lena listened carefully, absorbing every word. She realized that this was more than training. This was a chance to grow into someone capable of facing dangers beyond what she had ever imagined. Her heart pounded with anticipation. Over the next days, Lena began a series of lessons and exercises. Amara guided her through simulations, teaching her how to read patterns, recognize potential threats, and remain calm under pressure. Lena learned to analyze situations quickly, to predict outcomes, and to make decisions that minimized risk for others. At first, the lessons were small. Amara would arrange situations in the diner, creating minor problems for Lena to solve without explanation. A spilled drink here, a misunderstanding between travelers there, or a minor malfunction in a machine became opportunities for Lena to practice observation and strategy. She began to notice details she had never considered before. The smallest expressions on a traveler's face, subtle changes in machinery, and patterns in how events unfolded. One afternoon, Darrow introduced a more challenging exercise. He arranged for a simulated crisis in the docking bay. Energy fields would fluctuate, lights would flash, and alarms would sound. Lena's task was to guide a group of volunteers safely through the chaos, using only her observation and decision-making skills. When the simulation began, Lena's heart raced. Sparks flew from the machinery and the sound of alarms filled the air. She quickly assessed the situation, noticing safe routes and potential hazards. She guided the volunteers with clear, calm instructions, adjusting her plan as the scenario changed. Amara observed closely, noting Lena's reactions. She is growing, she said softly to Darrow. Her instincts are strong and her mind is quick. She is ready for more complex challenges. Darrow nodded. The next phase will test not just her courage and intelligence, but her judgment in real situations. It will require trust in herself and trust in others. Lena continued her training over the following week. She faced simulations involving diplomacy, negotiation, and problem-solving with diverse species. She learned to communicate clearly, to anticipate misunderstandings, and to guide others safely and efficiently. Each exercise built her confidence and sharpened her skills. During one training session, Lena faced a simulated emergency with multiple participants and shifting conditions. She had to decide which problems to address first, how to allocate resources, and how to keep everyone calm. She felt the pressure, but she also felt alive. She realized that she had the ability to think clearly under stress, to act decisively, and to inspire confidence in others. Amara approached her at the end of the exercise. "You have learned well," she said. "Your courage remains strong and your mind is sharper. You are ready to face challenges that go beyond simulations." Darrow watched silently, impressed. "She has proven herself in every test we have presented. Her next challenge will not be controlled. It will be real. She must rely on everything she has learned and trust in her own judgment." Lena felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had grown in ways she never expected, and yet she knew that her training was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast and dangers awaited beyond the walls of the station. One evening, as Lena walked through the station corridors, she noticed a small group of travelers in distress. A minor ship malfunction had left them stranded on a platform above the main docking area. Without hesitation, Lena assessed the situation, coordinated a safe route, and guided the travelers to safety. She applied everything she had learned under Amara's guidance, and the operation succeeded flawlessly. Amara watched from a distance, her expression calm but proud. "She is ready," she said to Darrow. "She has learned courage, intelligence, observation, and strategy. The next step will reveal her true potential." Darrow nodded. Humans are remarkable, he said. They can rise above limitations that others cannot. Lena is proof of that. She will continue to surprise us. For Lena, the experience was transformative. She was no longer just a waitress. She was someone capable of handling crises, making critical decisions, and guiding others to safety. She felt a sense of purpose she had never known, and a confidence that came from realizing her own potential. And high above the station, in the quiet of the observation deck, Darrow and Amara prepared for the next stage. Lena's journey was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, and she would need every skill, every ounce of courage, and every bit of intelligence she had developed to face what was coming next. The Starway station glowed softly under the light of distant stars. Lena walked through the corridors, her steps steady, her mind alert. She had grown so much over the past weeks. Training under Amara, facing simulated crises, and guiding travelers to safety had transformed her. She was no longer just a waitress. She had courage, intelligence, and awareness that could rival the most experienced members of the station. But Lena's growth was about to face its greatest test. Early in the day, alarms rang across the station. A rival faction known for causing chaos in nearby systems had attacked. Their ships blocked the docking bays, and a strange energy weapon disabled many of the station's systems. Lights flickered, gravity fields shifted, and the hum of machinery turned into a low, dangerous vibration. Panic spread quickly among travelers and staff. Lena felt a rush of adrenaline, but she focused immediately. She had prepared for emergencies before, but this was unlike anything she had faced. The threat was real, immediate, and unpredictable. Her training under Amara and Darrow now mattered more than ever. She rushed to the main control center where engineers and station officers were scrambling. "Listen to me!" Lena shouted, projecting confidence she did not fully feel yet. "We need a plan to save the station and protect everyone inside. Follow my instructions exactly and we can manage this." The engineers looked at her surprised. A waitress giving commands? But something in Lena's voice, the calm authority, the clarity, made them obey. They listened carefully as she directed power to emergency systems, rerouted energy to reinforce failing shields, and guided travelers to secure areas. High above the station, Darrow and Amara observed quietly. "This is her true test," Darrow said. "No simulations. No controlled environment. Real danger, real decisions, real consequences." Amara nodded. "Watch how she adapts. This is when humanity shines the brightest. Courage is one thing, but the ability to think clearly, to inspire others, is another." Lena moved through the control center, noticing weak points in the station's defenses. She coordinated teams to repair critical systems while keeping civilians safe. She anticipated the attackers' moves, predicting how they might try to bypass the station's shields. Every action required precision, focus, and quick thinking. Suddenly, a group of travelers became trapped in a transport corridor. Sparks flew around them as the energy weapon from the attackers disrupted the systems. Without hesitation, Lena grabbed a portable energy stabilizer and rushed toward them. She carefully guided the travelers past unstable fields, keeping calm even as parts of the corridor collapsed behind them. Once the travelers were safe, Lena returned to the control center. "We need to counter their ships," she said. "They rely on precision strikes. If we can predict their next move, we can protect the station and minimize damage." The engineers worked quickly under her guidance, rerouting defensive systems, activating emergency turrets, and reinforcing shields at weak points. Lena observed the patterns of the enemy ships, noting their timing and approach angles. Using this knowledge, she directed the station's automated defenses to intercept attacks before they could strike the most vulnerable areas. Amara watched closely. She remains calm. She adapts to every change. This is proof of her potential. Darrow's eyes were steady, but his mind analyzed every move. This is the moment where humans surpass expectations. She has no fear controlling her. She acts with clarity, intelligence, and instinct. That is what makes humanity remarkable. Hours passed as Lena coordinated efforts to protect the station. Each time the attackers tried a new tactic, Lena anticipated it. She guided repairs, directed defenses, and kept civilians calm. Her courage inspired others. Engineers and station staff who might have panicked followed her lead without hesitation. Travelers, seeing her confidence, felt reassured. Finally, Lena noticed an opportunity. The attackers' energy weapons relied on a specific frequency to disrupt the station. If that frequency could be countered, their attacks would lose power. Lena quickly devised a plan. She directed engineers to modify the station's energy shields to emit a counter frequency, which would neutralize the enemy attacks. The plan worked. Energy beams from the attackers fizzled, losing intensity and effectiveness. The station stabilized and panic turned into relief. Lena continued to coordinate the remaining defenses until the enemy ships finally retreated, unable to breach the station's improved systems. When the alarm stopped and the lights returned to normal, Lena collapsed into a chair, exhausted but exhilarated. She had done it. She had saved countless lives, protected the station, and outsmarted a dangerous enemy. Her courage, intelligence, and quick thinking had made all the difference. High above, Darrow and Amara observed silently. "She has proven herself," Amara said. "Not just with courage, but with humanity. She has inspired others, led effectively, and solved problems no one expected her to solve." Darrow nodded. "This is what I wanted to see. Humans are capable of more than many believe." Lena's actions prove that a single human, when trusted and empowered, can change the course of events. She embodies the best of humanity. Back in the control center, staff and travelers praised Lena. They had witnessed her leadership, her ability to remain calm under pressure, and her courage in the face of danger. Lena felt proud, but she also felt a sense of humility. She knew that she had done her best, and that every action, every decision had mattered. Later, Darrow and Amara approached Lena on the observation deck. "You have exceeded expectations," Darrow said. "You have proven courage, intelligence, and humanity. You have shown that even one human can make a difference in a galaxy full of challenges." Amara smiled. "We are proud to have guided you. Your journey is not over, but today you have shown the true strength of your kind. Remember this feeling and remember what you are capable of." Lena looked at them, her heart full of gratitude. She had started as a simple waitress, uncertain and unaware of the dangers and opportunities beyond her station. Now she stood as someone capable, strong, and wise, having proven that courage and humanity could shine brighter than any weapon or power. That night, Lena gazed at the stars through the observation deck. She thought about the travelers she had saved, the station she had protected, and the lessons she had learned. She realized that her strength was not just in her courage, but in her ability to think, act, and inspire others. That was the true power of humanity. High above, Darrow and Amara watched silently, satisfied. Lena had faced the ultimate test and had passed. They knew that humanity's spark, courage, intelligence, and the ability to rise in the face of danger, was rare and extraordinary. Lena had proven that even one human, when trusted and empowered, could change the course of events in the galaxy. As the Starway station returned to its normal rhythm, Lena felt a sense of calm satisfaction. Her journey had begun with a simple accident, a mistaken clash, and yet it had led to courage, growth, and achievement beyond anything she had imagined. She knew challenges would come again, but she also knew she had the strength and humanity to face them. For Lena and for all humans, the message was clear. Courage, intelligence, and heart could triumph against even the greatest dangers. Humanity shone brightly, and the galaxy had witnessed it.